a very warm welcome and good morning to all the people who have joined today. I'm your host. My name is Vedika, and I welcome you all to the Camlin's digital art workshop for today. Today, I'm going to paint an anime character. It's called Goku. So, we're going to paint primarily using brush pens and acrylic markers. And I'm also using the Camel Premium Sketchbook, which is 270 GSM paper quality and A4 size. So first of all, I'm going to make a rough sketch over here. So I'm starting by making the face of the anime character. So it's very important when you're starting with a rough sketch to make sure that your face proportions are equal. I'm going to use the fine liners. So these are the Camel fine liners, which are in black color shade. We're also going to use them for today's workshop. So continuing on our sketch, I'm just once I'm done with my sketch, I'm going to move on to the outlining portion. So for that, I'm using the Camel, Camel fine liner in 0.8 size. It has a very good pigment, especially when you outline. Now that our pen sketch is pretty much over, before starting with the coloring part, I am going to erase all the pencil lines that you see on my sketchbook. So again, I'm taking the Camlin eraser and erasing all the rough lines that you see. Alright, so now we're going to move ahead with the coloring portion. So for the coloring portion, first of all, I'm going to paint the cloth. So I'm taking the blue, light blue Camel acrylic marker. And first of all, while using acrylic markers, I prefer using, not painting over it multiple times. So just one shade, is good to go, because the pigment of acrylic markers is actually really, really good, thick and heavy. So you need not use multiple swipes. Like one swipe is enough to go. Take the dark blue color as well. So this is the blue shade of Camel acrylic marker, and I am also outlining the dark blue shade right next to my light blue color. You can also use one acrylic paint over the marker over the other. So that is also a really, advantageous feature of using acrylic markers. Okay, so now that we're done with the light blue base, we're going to move ahead with the orange base. So I'm quickly going to take two colors, which is orange and red, and I'm going to outline sections over here. So if you can see, I'm starting with the top portion and outlining it on the left side, and I'm also going to outline it on the right side as well. So again, you can see I'm just moving the marker in one direction, that is covering all the space in a book. Okay, so now that we've done with the red portion, I'm quickly gonna go with the orange marker and fill all the space that's remaining. Again, I'm using a combination of both top to down and left to right strokes over here. So as you saw that the space over here was, longer, I used top to bottom strokes. But now that we're coming in the bottom where the space is a little bit wider, I'm also using left to right strokes. well. Now we're going to move ahead to the next portion, which is the hair portion. So for the hair portion, I'm using the yellow acrylic marker. I'm deliberately leaving, if you can see the white spots over here, I'm deliberately leaving those spots, which is known as the negative space, for better highlight. We're going to highlight the hair with the second shade, which is the orange color. In our hair, I'm also going to use the brush pen. So we'll also see the difference between how a brush pen texture looks like and how a acrylic marker texture looks like. Alright, so I'm quickly going to fill, the highlights with the orange portion. So I'm making sure that I also leave a little bit of space for my third color, which is the brown color that will come in the middle. Alright, so we're almost done with the hair portion too. Only the last color that's remaining for us to highlight with is the brown color. So now we're going to use the brush pen. So I'm using the Camel Artist brush pen in the shade dark brown. So what I'm going to do is, I'm again, the remaining highlights on each of the hair strand is to be done with the dark brown color. So now when you're using the brush pen, you can see that the pigment is comparatively, lesser than the acrylic marker because of the nature of the brush pen. So you can definitely, use the brush pen 2 to 3 times in the same area to get a darker pigment. Done with the hair portion. The next part and the most important part is the face. So for the face, I'm first starting with the eyebrows. So for the eyebrows, I'm going to use an ochre yellow brush pen. So again, just one more. And I'm also using light brown color. So next we're going to use green shade. So we're going to use a medium green color to paint the eyes, eyeball. The green color is what we used for the eye color, the green color brush pen, and the dark brown color is what I'm using now for the eyebrow. I'm going to similarly use the same shade for the shadow parts. So first I'm just making, if you can see, there are different highlights. So I'm just highlighting the face of Goku with the dark part first. Very lightly going to paint the dark brown section in the face. So next I'm using the light brown color, which is also the burnt sienna shade, which a lot of y'all might be aware of. So for this also, I'm going to first section, if you see over here, there are, different sections. So I'm going to first section my skin accordingly. So first I'm starting with the neck portion. Actually, we're going to switch to the dark brown marker. That would look much more better. I'm going to use brown color to make highlights. So similar way how we made sections with the dark brown color. I'm going to switch to my brown marker again, brush pen again, and just outline the neck portion. Important part wherein we're going to cover the face section. So similarly for this face section, I'm going to use a lighter shade of brown I'm first carefully outlining the section over here. So outlining becomes a very important part because that is what will make our character pop out. So now our anime character is almost done. Just the last shade is remaining. For that, I'm going to use the ochre yellow shade. So I'm using the ochre yellow brush pen over here that I have available. So now that we're done with covering the skin texture, the last remaining portion is covering the background. So for the background, I'm going to again leave some negative space. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing an outline of the whole character, leaving a little bit of white space. If you can see over here, I've left a little bit of white space all over my painting. Now what I'm going to do is, it's a very simple step wherein I'm just going to draw straight lines to give a background effect. I'm making sure that the brush pen is this way and not this way, so it's like lying on the paper. So the last thing that we're going to do is add a little bit of touch up with the Camel fine tip marker, which is the black marker we have. So I'm just going to take the Camel fine liner, which is the 0.8 liner that we have. And the last part is, of course, I'm going to add some, touch-ups with the Camel fine liner. So I'm just adding small diagonal lines. I'm adding some lines over here. So to sum it up, we used highlights, so colors like using complementary shades in our painting. We also emphasized on how outlining the painting before using brush pens is really important. And after shading and giving the highlights, how small tiny effects like making lines with black color, adding some finishing touches with black or outlining with black can highlight your overall space. And one pro tip that I personally feel was my takeaway was leaving a little bit of negative space when required. But again, the amount of negative space also depends on you, how much negative space you think is apt for your art. I think we're done with the piece, and it was really good to host the workshop with you guys. I hope you had a wonderful time. You can definitely post if you've created this beautiful piece with me, or you're going to create it after the workshop. Would love to see your stories, would love to see your posts. So feel free to tag @paint with Vedika and Kokuyo Camlin on our Instagram handles, and we'll love to repost. Thank you so much and have a good week.